Hello my beautiful hammerhead and welcome back to another video. Today I want to talk about something that is very dear to me. And yes, you already saw it in the title. Is Warhammer too big right now? And that is both applicable to Warhammer 40k and Age of Sigmar. And with that I don't mean the amount of people that are playing the games. I mean it's more of the amount of models we have on the table. So for the background, when you are new to the channel, or if you're new to the channel, first of all, welcome. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the ride. My background is I'm almost at about 2 decades in the game system of Games Workshop now. I was also an employee for Games Workshop for a couple of years. So I'm very well versed into the games. And back then, in 40k end of 3rd edition, beginning of 4th edition, we hadn't that much models on the table. And the less models you have on the table, the more thematic things get, the more heroic your characters are becoming, and the more memorable the games get. My best and my favorite memories are from back then. And this is not some nostalgic thing that is, oh, back then everything was better. No. The game was bad. Both games were not in a great state. For me personally. That is also totally subjective. What I mean is the moments we had in our games, my opponent and I, it was just so much fun because things were wonky, our heroes were heroic, our champions in the units were heroic because everyone had their moments to shine. This is something that gets more and more lost in the vast amount of, again, models we have on the table. I know it looks great when we have so many things on the table. But again, this is something that I talked about in a couple of videos earlier in the last few weeks. We talked about this in maybe a couple already of our live streams, that I'm a supporter of more point costs, higher point costs per model instead of lower and lower point costs per model. And as of recording this today on Monday, Tabletop Tactics published a video on their podcast, which is also funny enough, is Warhammer 40k too big? And it's the same thing. And so that gave me the support I needed to know that I'm not the only one thinking this. Because, again, it looks amazing when you have so many things on the table. But back in the day, we didn't play 2000 point games. It was about 750, 1500. The ITC was some wonky 1850 points. And back then, there were also restrictions in the codex. So you could use one boon that you could choose, but you had to choose one, again, restriction. Like you couldn't use scouts in your Space Marine army or something like that. Doesn't really matter right now, but restrictions were almost everywhere. And restrictions can be good if they're well made, because, and what I mean with that is, everyone wants to play with their big toys. We all want to bring our favorite unit, but we also don't want to spend amounts of money to just play one army. And I'm also on the boat. I kinda am interested in Skaven right now because the models we have seen as of yet look amazing, and for me it's something. But I don't want to paint over 100 models. This is just too much. And I'm already in the game. I'm already one who spends the majority of his free time reading the lore, reading the rules, looking at miniatures, building, painting, and everything that is our hobbyverse here. But still, I am scared of a horde army. I am even scared of some regular armies, not that elite armies, because there are just so many models on the table. That is why I said in my Vanguard box video that I hope that the boxes are about 750 to 1000 points, because I just want to buy one box, have a small army to play with, maybe buy something else for it, and then when I want to buy something else, it's fine, but I can also look at other armies. I'm not constricted to play one thing over and over and over again. I know I'm going a little bit in circles right now, but I just want to have a fundament for the point I'm making here. Maybe again, Lawrence from Tabletop Tactics and I are the unique butterflies here, but I don't think so, because we all want to play more than one army. It's just the curse of wargaming. It is a thing with us. You know that, I know that, everyone knows that. And again, there is also a thing with 40k right now, with line of sight issues, that you have to hide everything in your deployment zone. The deployment zone is not big enough to, well, put basically all your models in there. If you play Astra Militarum, if you play a Horde-style Tyranids army, you don't have enough space on the table. That is a really, really big issue. And everything, let's just say Custodes, the elitist army of all, there are only 10,000, and you have about 100 models, I know, hyperbolically, on the table already. And every single model is hiding behind the building because they don't want to get shot. I mean, of course, no one wants to get shot at, but still, the point stands. You have these vast suits of armor walking around, and they're afraid of bolter fire or las gun fire and everything else that can just vanquish them from existence. So I know this is more probably of a rules debate, but again, elite armies should feel elite. So forget Combat Patrol, because Combat Patrol teaches you rules for a game that is not 40k. That is also an inherent issue with Combat Patrol, which should be fixed as soon as possible, because we can't wait another 2 years for 11th edition to have a new version of Combat Patrol. But boarding action is the rules of 40k in 500 points. And yes, you have restrictions, but again, restrictions can be good if they are well made. And yes, everyone wants to bring their favorite unit, but this opens up issues of then you can spam units. I know there is again the discussion, if it's a bad list, it's spam. If it's a good list, it's thematic. I know. There are a lot of things here that we can dissect, but I don't want to do that right now. We as a community could, because we have the opportunity right now, before Age of Sigmar 4th edition comes out, and even for 40k as a whole, that maybe 1500 points are enough for the games. Again, yes, everyone wants to bring their favorite toy, but we should also have these restrictions upon ourselves. What do we want to bring? And what is the real theme of the army? Because one of the examples in the Tabletop Tactics podcast was Genestealer cults with their blips. You can destroy them as the opponent when you walk into 9 inches of the blip. So the blips is not a unit, it's just a marker. And there are enough units for your opponent to just walk there, destroy the blip, and have no repercussions whatsoever. With less models, with less units, that would have been a moment of, okay, do I want to put my Space Marines there and destroy the blip, or do I want to stay here on the mission objective? There is no choice. You can just walk there with one of your 20 units. This is also something that really irks me with 40k right now. I told you before, my brother and I played only one match of 40k as it launched in 10th edition. It was a really fun game, but it was more because I played with my brother and I could spend time with him. Because we deployed and I immediately knew I am screwed. That is, again, another discussion why I think Age of Sigmar is the better game. But 40k is in a position right now, we deploy and you can already say who wins, if the dice aren't screwing you or your enemy over. But again, another topic in itself. My inherent problem is, again, I know I'm going in circles, so please bear with me. We need to go down with either the maximum amount of points we play in games, or the point costs for the models have to get higher, which I think would be the best option, because the higher the point costs for a model is, the more play you have in balancing them. Let's just say, this is again totally hyperbolic. A Stormcast Eternals Vindicta, the Shield and Spear Stormcast Eternals, would cost 40 points. Again, very hyperbolic. And you see, oh, they're a little bit too weak. You can make them a little bit, well, less on the point side. Let's just say 2 points down, 38 points per model. That's fine. That would be great. Because there is a little bit more play in here. But there should also be a minimum amount for elite units to have a cost. Annihilators are another example. 3 models per unit, let's just say 60 points per model. That would be something else again for them. And it would be a big choice to include them in your army. And again, yes, everyone wants to play with their favorite toys. But if you have your favorite toy 3 times on the table, it leads to feel-bad moments. And it doesn't have the real impact that we have on the game. Again, there is the inherent issue of there are no memory makers right now. There can be, but it is less and less and less. Again, I know I'm using the word again too often here right now. I'm sorry for that. I'm just a little bit tired. But 500 points for boarding action is great. You have to choose what you get. 1500 points for a 40k game is probably just 1 Land Raider, a couple of Terminators, a Terminator Captain or another Terminator HQ, and a couple of other units. And that's basically it. You don't have a second Land Raider, a second unit of Terminators, and so on. This might sound strange, but yes, restriction is good. I know I'm not the best right now. I'm not the most eloquent speaker who could bring this point to a really good set. What was that sentence? I know, again, I'm tired. I'm sorry. I should end this right here. This is, again, sorry, something for the whole community. We should bring the point costs down. Back then, I reiterate, 1,850 points, did I say this in this video? Probably. Was the norm for the ITC, for the International Tournament thingy. And there was a discussion to bring the game down to 1,500 points or to bring it up to 2,000 points. And the majority of people voted for 2,000 points because, again, everyone wants to play with their favorite toys, everyone wants to spam their favorite toy. But that is the problem. If you agree with me, or if you don't agree with me, please leave your thoughts and questions in the comment section down below. I'm keen to know what you have to say. And while you're down there, please remember to do all the YouTube stuff, because hitting buttons is not only fun. Why? Because that way we can build a bigger community and talk more Warhammer almost every day. And with that, I of course mean like and subscribe, and if you want, you can support me on Ko-fi. But until then, have a great day, my friend. Stay fantastic, stay hydrated, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, bye, bye.